You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. One of the things we'll do every Sunday evening over at LouisianaSports.net, by the way, I got the polo on, for those watching and listening, LouisianaSports.net polo. One thing we'll do every Sunday evening is we'll post the top 5, bottom 5 PFF grades for LSU in their previous game. There's a couple of things I think that stand out here, and I won't delay it. I'll just bury the lead here. I'll run through the highest grades and the lowest grades. And by the way, this is blended, not offense defense. It's just a blended top 5, whether offense defense, and we extract the ones that aren't qualified. So, for example, like Gabe Relaford had 3 snaps at fullback, not including Gabe Relaford in the grades. But the highest graded player, how about Jordan Gilbert at safety? What's so interesting about that is Gilbert struggled against USC in the opener, and didn't start. We saw Sage Ryan and Deshaun Spears start against South Carolina. But Gilbert graded out at 82.9, the highest graded LSU player. Caden Durham was the second highest graded LSU player in the game at 82.5. That probably isn't a surprise. Aaron Anderson, 3. Greg Penn, 4. How about Sage Ryan, the 5th highest graded? One of the things that stands out to me when I saw that Sage Ryan grade was how many times we will magnify one play, good or bad. Like Sage Ryan, for example, we just talked about there. Sage Ryan, the standout play was a negative one. The 75-yard touchdown run by Lenora Sellers. If you go back and watch the play, Ahmad Bro's in at tackle. He kind of gets caught up in the pads of the offensive lineman. Whit Weeks blitzes, so there's a hole at the second level. And Sage Ryan was right there in the middle of the field. And he got put on skates, man. Like, I don't care who you are. You have got to at least be able to break down and make that guy slow down. Make him stop, pivot, change direction. Get a shoelace, something to allow the rest of the defense to catch up. So, look, give up a 25-yard run. Don't give up a 75-yard touchdown run. You got to get your hands on the guy. So that was objectively very bad. But Sage Ryan had an overall grade of 72.8. He had an 86.8 pass rush grade, of course, forced a fumble. In coverage, he had a 71.9. You don't need to remember these numbers. Just understand that the thing we've talked about with Sage Ryan throughout his entire career is that his most natural position is safety. He has not been able to play safety his entire career at LSU. Well, we see him there now, and he was the 5th highest graded overall player for LSU among qualifying snaps. So you probably found a home there. And the fact that Jordan Gilbert was your highest rated overall player as well. Gilbert played 25 snaps. This was the other interesting thing. Gilbert played 25 snaps. Sage Ryan played 24 snaps. Remember what Brian Kelly said. They don't have anybody in that secondary that they feel good about playing 65 snaps, so they're going to have to platoon it. Now, the other thing I thought was interesting, Zy Alexander. Zy Alexander, aside from Greg Penn, who played 56 snaps, Braden Swinson, who played 55 snaps, Major Burns played 56 snaps, Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins played every defensive snap, 68 snaps. Other than that, when you look at secondary players, Ashton Stamps played 62 snaps out of 68. Zy Alexander was next at 49. So while Brian Kelly said they don't have anybody back there who they feel like can play 65, 70 snaps, Stamps played almost every defensive snap, but Zy Alexander was next. So they are very clearly identified their 2 best corners. Zy Alexander, Ashton Stamps. And if you can have those 2 guys on the field for the majority of the game, and then at safety, depending on what defense you're in, you rotate, but you feel good about Gilbert, Ryan, getting Spears back there as well, you're coming along in figuring out what your team is. By the way, Brian Kelly on Monday did give an update on Zy Alexander, who left the game in the second half with injury.
Yeah, I mean, I think we look pretty clean. Zy was much more, he lost his wind more than it was anything to do with his knee.
That's great to hear. By the way, I was told that he kind of maybe if he was defending a pass downfield, he came down, maybe kind of hit his head on the turf as well, but still played the second most snaps of any defender in the secondary, which is great to see as they continue to ramp him up. Now, the flip side of that are the lowest graded players. And again, this is all up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to go read the full write-up on all of it. The lowest graded player was DJ Chester at center. He had a holding, he had a false start, he had the errant snap. It was a rough day for DJ Chester. Young guy who's going to have some of those. The good news is the two guards that flanked him, Miles Frazier and Garrett Dellinger, were among your highest graded players. We'll get to more of that in a second. But here's your lowest graded players. Chester, Savion Jones, J.K. Johnson, Josh Williams, uncharacteristically, more on that in a second, and then Xavion Thomas. Those are your 5 lowest graded players on the day for LSU, according to Pro Football Focus. I love that Caden Durham and Aaron Anderson were at the top. Your 3rd highest graded offensive player was Garrett Dellinger, and your 4th highest was Miles Frazier. So when we talk about the day that Chester had in the interior not being a great day, the fact that he's flanked by 2 guards, veteran guards, that played so well. For example, Garrett Dellinger's pass block grade was 88.1. Frazier was 77.6. They were awesome. At right tackle, Emory Jones did not allow a pressure. His pass block grade was 79.8. As a run blocker, though, 57.1. That's where the average came down a bit. And I know you're going to ask about Will Campbell. By far, the lowest pass block grade of his career since the opener as a freshman against Florida State. Will Campbell's pass block grade was just a 47. His run block grade was a 64.6. So not a great day for Will Campbell. Not a great day for DJ Chester. Your 2 guards and Emory Jones both were pretty good on Saturday. Hat tip to South Carolina. We knew that was the good-on-good matchup. LSU's pass blocking offensive line against the pass rush from South Carolina. And both teams won some, both teams lost some. I don't worry so much about a lot of those guys because you know they're going to be better. And the other one, of course, that you got to mention is Josh Williams. And Josh Williams, most of the time, is in the game because of his ability to pass block. And it was just one of those days where he had 3 pass block attempts or opportunities, and it just didn't go great. 21.6 was Josh Williams' pass block grade. So, look, I mean, we've talked about that since he showed up on campus for as long as he's been there. One of the reasons Josh Williams keeps getting playing time is the fact that he's been so good. We talk so much about the overtime play against Alabama. I mean, the lunging block he made on Jaden Daniels' touchdown run. You just don't worry about it because that's just an exception, not the rule. The rule is he's been so good. It just wasn't awesome for him on Saturday. His pass block grade he had 6 pass block reps. 6 pass block reps. His grade was a 21.6. So it just wasn't a great day, but there'll be better days ahead. I'd rather see that than a young player who you're trying to hope will get better performing poorly. Sometimes you have veterans who there's a large enough sample size that you know what they are that just need to improve. Learn from it on that day, chalk it up as a bad day, that everybody has a bad day. But just a couple of takeaways there. And maybe one of the reasons why you're maybe a little optimistic about the opportunity for this defense to continue to improve, because as Brian Kelly said, look, they shifted a bunch of guys personnel-wise defensively. And they're going to keep developing and hopefully getting better like we've seen the last 2 years. Doesn't mean watching a game where you play so poorly makes it any easier to watch that game because there was an awful lot of bad on Saturday with LSU South Carolina. But amid all that bad, you overcame a 17-point deficit on the road and came back and won the game. Can you build off of it? We'll see. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.